How's it going, guys? It's Ralphie from Beyond the Huddle, and welcome to this week's Bitcoin forecast. As always, I'll get started with the SMI, that's the smart money indicator, to see what the sentiment of the exchange market is. That's the spot market. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the COT to see what the asset managers are up to in the leverage market. And finally, we'll wrap it up with some volume and price action using our Beyond the Huddle indicator for the volume profile and our USDT bias indicator to see what USDT prices should do. And then we'll get started. Okay, so getting started here with the SMI. Again, that's delivered to our Discord, and you guys can see here that we've actually stayed bearish since the last video that I made here last week. And the idea that I was talking about last week was that because we're so bearish, we're looking for sell signals. Now, if you followed the price action and volume part of that video, then you know that what we were waiting for, depending on the time frame that you trade, would have been the weekly model for a swing trader like me or a position trader. So that's really long time frames, right? I'm trying to trade monthly, quarterly candles here. So that would mean the way I get in and out of trades is the weekly candles. So because we never broke any of those weekly candles, and you can almost see it here on the indicator, right? Swing low, swing high, and then just respected the discount, which would have been our support levels. Now, if you were a shorter term trader, that's an intraday or scalper, you definitely could have used the SMI to catch these short term retracements. And maybe I'll go over that in price a little bit later on. But essentially what's going on here is that the market is still positioned bearish for the short term players. And that is very big deal, because that means if we're able to go below my weekly levels for the USDT bias level and then the weekly value level, we're going to have some very strong expansion to the downside. Unless some aggressive move lower quickly resets this. Okay, anytime I've seen this, go red, distribution, and then we have had we lose our weekly support, bad things happen. Okay, last time that happened, we had about a 16% drop. You can see here the long-term players also during this small rally here. Look what happened, right? They started selling hard into that move higher, and then that made price go lower right there. Okay, so definitely this consolidation, when you have these aggressive moves higher, then it just has an extended consolidation. Yeah, you're gonna drop off, but if that drop right there doesn't go to accumulation, or the one that we want to see for us to get into new positions is strong accumulation. If it doesn't hit strong accumulation, then that next rally should probably be one that you should be strongly looking to de-risk into if it hits some of your important levels or stuff like that, right? So that's the key here. Sentiment tools like the COT and the SMI, they're really good to tell you what the atmosphere, right, the environment is like, and then you have to use your price action to tell you when it's time to actually get out, because some of these can take a couple of days, or sometimes up to a week or a few weeks. If you're talking about COT data, that could take weeks to months, okay, for it to come true, which is why it's so important to know what your weekly biases are, choosing what type of trader you are, and then what your daily biases are if you're an intraday trader or a scalper. So again, both the short-term and long-term players are both positioned bearish, which means we're in high alert for any bearish signals on whatever type of trader, short-term, intraday, scalper, or swing trader, position trader you are. So with that being said, let's move on to the COT, guys. So moving on to the COT portion of the video, you can see here for the CME contract on Bitcoin, the longs for the asset managers right here, they actually increased by 64, and the shorts actually declined by 23 contracts to a total of 902. And the longs to a total of 5,957. So the percentage actually went up a tiny bit, about 0.4 something, from 86 something, 86.4 to 86.8. So that's good, right? We already know that we are expecting these percentage longs to be hovering above 80%, and maybe hopefully stay above 80% when we begin our bull ascension, our bull run, move higher. We don't want it to capitulate too quickly, but the important one here is that the shorts are finally starting to go down, and we did talk about this last week where we had like a pseudo premium and discount right here, as you can see right there, right? And then we wanted to see the premium hold right there, and then that would cause the orders to go back to the mean, right, which would be this average, the white line right there. So we would want them to go back towards that, and then below it. So going into next week, it'd be really cool if we could have an aggressive move lower in the shorts, further confirming that this could be a long-term bottom in price, right? And that's the whole thing we've been talking about ever since it turned here when we had this big drop. So this week happened, and then we had this one right here. So that's a very big deal for us, and now we just needed to navigate every single week up and down while maintaining this long-term bullish view. So pretty simple stuff here for the COT. Again, we know we're long-term bullish because this is the percentage, and we know their percentage like overwhelmingly long, and now we're just waiting for these shorts to go back below average to then confirm that we're going to have a nice smooth uptrend. You see, last time we had a 2-week uptrend, and then they decided to start increasing their shorts, which caused this disturbance right here for the past 5 weeks. And then now if they can start to decline their shorts, consecutive weeks, we should see that materialize in price with a nice steady rally. So let's move on to price and then see what we can find there for entries and any targets and so on and so forth. Okay, so moving on to the volume and price part analysis of the video, and I'm going to explain it to you guys the way I was explaining it on Monday to the paid group, the BTH Premium. And essentially, there's a few ways I like to think about the market. So the first thing, as always, you guys already know, I look to see where did the week open? Are we above our USDT bias level? And that would be the green zone. The green zone represents the weekly. So if we're above it, that means I'm expecting bullish prices across the board for USDT prices on all crosses. And obviously if I'm over the purple, that one controls the monthly, so I'm expecting bullish prices for the month. So that's great. Okay, so we're bullish. But then you have to figure out how high are we going to go, because that has nothing to do with are we going to consolidate. It has nothing to do with are we going to move 5%, 10%, 100%, 15%. All it's telling you is we should close above that zone. Okay, that's all it's telling you. So now that we know that, we need to now understand if you're going to be a swing trader or a scalper or whatever it may be. And I'm not going to get too much into the details of someone who's a scalper or a short-term trader, because that's not really the scope of these videos. You'd have to be very detailed to get those type of trades. But as you can see here, you have, these are my daily models. So if I click on them, you can see the time frame is right here, the D, right? That stands for daily. And the idea is, when this daily candle closed right here, you see how you closed within the previous day's value. So remember, the idea is that if you break above the value, you're going to aggressively trend higher. And look at that, right? That's exactly what it did. It trended higher 5%. And then obviously if this is the daily and we break above the daily model, I would want to target the weekly model and then the monthly model, which is this ultimate target that ended up hitting. Okay, so that's how you would short-term trade or scalp. Okay, now for me, I like to do this as a swing trader. So I would like to hide these right here. Let's go into this right here. And by the way, that's how you could have seen these drops right here coming, because you would have seen, let me show you guys actually real quick. If we go back in time, so I'm going to add a few more here. You can see how, so there you go. You can see how so when this day opened here, we opened within the previous day's value area. Okay, so that means that we're going to consolidate, and then we want to be aggressively bearish when we go below that value area low. So look at this. So you go below that value area low here, uses it as resistance for these 3 candles. That's 3 hours, falls, and then it comes back, retests it one more time. That's another sell right there, and then boom, it comes lower. Now, why was that? As I was saying on the video on Monday, why was this the first target? Because that's the previous week's POC, right? So the POC is the point of control. That's the largest volume of the previous week. So if I know that's the largest volume, that has to be the first place you're going to target. The same way that if I'm trying to, buy a coin and I know that I'm only buying with $100, but there's someone that bought with $100 million, I should probably know where they bought and what they're planning on doing with their money. So just picture the same thing there. I know that's the largest amount of volume, and why would I want to trade against that? So when it hits it, it respects it. You want to make sure you respect that area, right? So there you see, right? It then turned around. And the point here that I'm trying to make, that's why I'm trying to go into a little bit more detail here, is that the SMI was bearish, but on a weekly model, which is the swing trading model, we haven't gotten the full breakdown of that would make us be a weekly candle bearish. And that would be, going below this value or low and going below this weekly USDT bias level. Now, last week, right, the one that I told you guys about, so you can see right here, this is where the new week starts. Essentially, you can see how you opened the week at the value or low, right? So if you can't break below that, then the SMI being, well, it wasn't bearish yet, but you can see right here, there we go. You hit the previous week's value or high. So the SMI being bearish doesn't really mean much until that specific level gets broken, because remember, you already saw what happened here in the daily model, how it aggressively went up about 5 point something percent right here, right, in 3 candles, because again, very thin liquidity. That's exactly what gets me excited about trading this way, because you know exactly what important levels need to get broken and whatnot, right? So the same exact thing idea comes here. When you break above the value or high, you don't expect the market, you expect it to be nice and bull trending. So look at that, right? It trends, retraces, and then consolidates, comes back, boom, comes back. But this entire time, the SMI has been bearish, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we're waiting for these weekly models to turn bearish. So look at this right here, right? I would mark this level out, and that's where we're sitting at right now. So the reasons why you might be bearish at this level, if you can start to lose these weekly ones, is because you just hit the weekly value or the monthly value or high. And this monthly, if we zoom out and then we don't extend it so you guys can see exactly when it started, the month started here. We tried to peek our head above the previous month's high or value or high, so the month of February, and we were not able to. So we ended up hitting the quarterly, and then we failed. All right, so that was the large move I was telling you guys about. So that's about from, high to low. You're obviously not going to get the entire move, but that's about an 18% move. And then you hit what? The previous month's POC. Again, right? Why would that be my first target? From the value or high, you have to target that, because that's the point of control. On a monthly scale, it took a full 30 days. Well, in the month of February, 28 days. That's where the most volume was at, right? So then if you stop there, you're going to consolidate there. The weekly model switched to bullish, and now that the SMI is so bearish, we're looking for the same thing as we're hitting that monthly level. So let me draw it out again right here. As we're hitting this monthly level, I'm wondering, and you guys can do it with the indicator. So right here, you guys can just double click on it and then extend it right again. There we go. And you can even extend the POC. I just don't extend those. But right now, to confirm the SMI, I need to use the price on a swing trading time frame, which is the weekly, because that's the time frame that I trade, right? If you were using the daily, you probably would have gotten this down move right here, and then you would have taken your profit. You would have been happy. But right now, the SMI has not fully materialized because we failed to keep breaking low bearish on the weekly time frames. So I hope that made sense, guys. I hope if you guys have any questions, join the Discord. Feel free to ask me any questions on this or anything else you might have, or some other coin that you want to take a look at with these tools, because they're super important for you guys to understand this concept of, figuring out what trader you are, then figuring out what candle you want to trade, and then figuring out the value for that candle. And then every single week, every single month, whatever the candle or time frame you trade, you're going to do the same exact thing. And it's going to lead you to these consistent and very profitable moves like these right here that I've been able to show you every single week. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to share with your friends and family. And I'll see you guys soon. Peace.